Hello, and welcome to this episode of BAI Beyond the Brand, where we talk to franchisees from our various franchise partners to give you all a better understanding of that brand as a whole from a different perspective. And today I am joined by Gotcha Covered franchisee Dan Grossman, who is their Nashville, Tennessee franchisee who got started in 2021, if that's
Yes.
correct. Yeah,
hmm
so just hitting your fourth year as a franchisee, we'll hear Dan's story, and hopefully this helps you understand Got You Covered at a deeper level and improves your ability to present this brand to your candidates. So, Dan, just first off, want to thank you for taking the time out to join me. I know you're a busy guy, so I appreciate you setting some time aside to tell your story.
No problem. Happy to do it. Thank you so
Excellent.
much for inviting. Humbled and honored to be here. So thanks.
Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
Um, so I like to start these conversations off just getting to know a little bit more about you. And
Okay.
so before becoming a Gotcha Covered franchisee, what was your background? What industry were you in and
Yeah.
what led you to
It's an
franchise?
interesting story. I've always been into arts marketing, so performing art centers and stuff, and
Okay.
I've been doing that for a really long time. Ever since probably 1998. So a while. And so I moved out here to Nashville to be the VP of marketing of the Nashville Symphony.
Oh
And I moved
wow.
out here to do that in 2014. And I was humming along and COVID hit and it impacted our business negatively and exponentially. And we had to
Hmm.
shut down, as did all performing arts centers. And we actually had to furlough all the musicians and most of the staff. And I was fortunate enough to stay on, but we spent a lot of time kind of not knowing like what the future like held for the symphony,
Hmm.
and doing a lot of planning and all that stuff to try and reopen, but not really knowing when. And so I did, a lot of that, and I just started feeling like it was time for a change. And I'd always wanted to own a business, you know. So I ended up researching franchises because I felt like if I could find a system that I could kind of work that system, and because I'm not really like a startup guy, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
right.
I'm more of just like an implementer,
Hmm.
right? And a builder, right? So like a team, like not like a creative like innovator in a sense, right?
Right.
So not like a builder who builds buildings, just like I'm more of like a builder of big things, like in terms of businesses, right?
Hmm.
So um I ended up getting very confused at first because there was just so many franchises, right?
Right.
So I ended up working with a broker,
Okay.
and this person was great, and he did a lot of testing. I don't know what your process is, but he did a lot of testing at first. I did aptitude test, that kind of thing, skill sets. It
Yeah.
was probably an hour long of like different tests.
Hmm.
And then the results came back, and he basically said that I scored very high for home services because of my interpersonal skills and my sales and marketing background.
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
so it helped me narrow it down. And the intent at first was, I don't know. Well, am I going to do this semi-absentee or am I going to be all in? Right. So I had a kind of a broad range and I spent a long time looking at it. And I almost bought a couple franchises. And for some reason, they didn't really work out until I found Got You Covered. And I just really felt like it was a very good fit for me culturally.
Hmm.
Um, and the business opportunity felt really, really good. The support seemed like it would be there for me, training and support. Um, it's funny when you start these things, you really don't know what you don't know, right? So,
Right.
but I did end up leaving the symphony. and I started this business full time.
Mm-hmm.
And I built it up pretty quickly. And I ended up hiring somebody who was a 1099 employee. I ended up hiring him, and he is now my partner. He's bought into the business, so we are in it together.
Okay.
And I am back at the Symphony. I've been back here since November of 22. And
Okay.
so I do a lot of work in Got You Covered, and I do a lot of work at the Symphony. So I do a lot of multitasking.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Yeah.
And you touched on something when you were talking about what drew you to Got You Covered, the culture. Can you dive into that a little deeper? What about the culture
Yeah.
really attracted you?
I mean, the process of getting a franchise, um, a lot of times you're with biz dev people in the beginning, and
Mhm.
they kind of introduce you. But at the time, and I know they're doing it a little differently now because they've grown, but at the time, their founder was doing all the biz dev. So I was actually talking to the founder himself.
Yeah.
Um, and and I really liked that. I built a rapport with him, and I felt like he understood me, and I understood him, and I felt like it was a good culture that he was describing. And I had
Hmm.
4 sessions with him. And then, it got to the point where I did validation and I talked to many owners,
Hmm.
8 or 9 of them. And to a T, each and every one of them felt so welcoming, so helpful, so willing to share. I actually had one of them even help me with my business plan for my SBA loan.
Oh, wow.
Like, that's how great they were.
Yeah.
And I just felt like there would be a very good support system for me
Yep. Yeah.
above and beyond the training and the technology and the vendor accounts and the CRM,
Right.
but there's people behind it, which made me feel really good about it. Now, today, it's owned by Five Star, um, and Five Star is very good.
Hmm.
And I think they have really good biz dev people there now. Um, as I think I know all of them, and I'm used quite a bit during the validation, and I enjoy that because I feel like it's important for people to really get a, a transparent view of what they'd be purchasing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
And
I hope that helps. Yeah.
yeah, no, 100% it does. And I have to imagine you're probably the only symphony director of marketing background that Got You Covered has brought on board. So I'm curious, what skill sets from that background do you think translated over well and helped
I
you
think
as
there's a few
being a
ways
franchisee?
into Gotcha Covered. When
Mm-hmm.
you look at the owner base, they're kind of all across the board, but I think we share like one of two things. I think first of all, there's people who are very familiar and have a like an interior design background,
Yeah.
or like are very good with their hands, like maybe from
Mhm.
the install side. So there's like the technical side. And then there's also the sales and marketing side. People that were from corporate America,
Right.
that are pretty good at kind of getting their name out there.
Mhm.
I'm very heavy on customer service. And it's very important to what we do here at the Symphony and what we do at Gotcha Covered. And it's a big part of our brand. We have very good Google ratings. All the owners do.
Mhm.
I'm going to knock on wood. I have all 5-star ratings. And that's big in home services. It's really big, and
Absolutely.
it's hard work. You've got to pick up the phone. You gotta tell the truth. You got to be transparent about things that come up. And you've also got to understand how to kind of set the table because, window treatments are a custom product. They're fabricated, sometimes by hand, sometimes
Mhm.
by machinery, but there are often production delays. And there were times where we were dealing with a lot of shipping delays. It seems to be pretty good right now. I think AI has pretty much really helped the shipping industry a lot because I think it's improved a lot. But um, that's a side point. I think so. The two kind of owners that I would see are the ones that are very heavily on marketing and sales, customer side, and then those who have a more technical background and come in that way.
Yeah. And you fall with the former, the sales and
I
marketing.
yes. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the reverse side of that,
But I just do want to say I don't want to scare people away because I do think like this is a perfect business for like two partners, like a husband and
yeah.
wife, or if you're partners, or because we have a lot of married duos that like
Mhm.
one person does the background, the ordering, scheduling of the installs, and the other one goes out in the field and meets the people. And that's, somewhat the way we have it split up, except Corbin, my partner, is doing a lot more time into the
Mhm.
business than I am because I have a full-time job as well. But I take in all the customers and I do all that, a lot of the project management on the back end. So, yeah.
Yeah. And on the reverse side of that question, what did you struggle with the most as a new franchisee where you really leaned on the franchisor and maybe other franchisees for support with it?
It's a really good question. I think going into a new industry is scary. And
Mhm.
I think one of the things that Got You Covered hooks you up with right away are really good vendor accounts. So the fabricators of the window treatments, right? And they each have sales reps, right? And some of those sales reps invested a lot of time in me,
Right.
right? Going through the sample books and going through the ordering and
Mhm.
going through the quoting and making sure um, I have everything I needed spec wise to quote the project correctly, right? So it's very detailed. And I would say that the vendors were fantastic. Um, they also helped me get set up with installers. Like that's how I met my partner today through one of my vendors. So Gotcha Covered is very good at facilitating those vendor relationships.
Yeah.
And they do have a really good team there. They have an IT team, they have a training team, they have a marketing team, they have now business coaches that you can meet with once a week
Hmm.
or less if you want. I think we meet with ours every other week and she's fantastic. And so I think that they have a lot of resources there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, can you kind of walk me through? You started in 2021,
Yeah.
and then how did this relationship with your partner come to be, and when did you actually feel comfortable enough to take a step back into the symphony role?
Can you repeat that? I just want to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah, just kind of curious how the progression of your involvement in the business changed over time. How this relationship with your now business partner came to be, and how far into the business you felt comfortable to take a step back in more of a semi-absentee role, and it sounds like they
Yeah.
might run more of the day to day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a very good question. I think that I spent a long time getting to know Corbin before he came on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like my best installer. And I saw the way he dealt with the customers. I saw his knowledge of the product. And I just felt like he would really exponentially um, like make my company better, you
Yeah.
know? And so it was the right fit at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of it was just, getting him up to speed on the sheer volume of what I was doing at the
Mm-hmm.
time but then he picked up pretty quickly. And so the transition, it's very organic, like I spend a lot of time at Got You Covered still.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm fortunate that I'm in a position where I can multitask,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the day, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but he does spend all the customer facing time, you know, and we also have a third employee. We have a full-time installer as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, we've just grown. It's been organic, you know.
Yeah. And can you give me an idea where the business is at today? Like how many employees, how large your team is?
Three
Yeah.
people, two and a half, including me. Like, yeah.
Okay. And your
Yep. And then
role,
we work remotely, so we all work out of our house. We have a big Mercedes Sprinter van for my installer, and then we
okay.
have a company car for Corbin, like a Highlander.
Hmm.
And then we receive all the product at my place, and my garage is pretty much home base.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's your role now with Corbin involved? Do you just kind of focus on the big picture, scalability, growth, and he handles more of the,
No, I think we do that together. He's my partner now.
okay.
Yeah. So growth, marketing. Um, yeah, I mean, I do my day is a lot of incoming customers. So like I take all because I want to make a good impression.
Hmm.
Like I don't want a call center to be making the first impression.
Sure.
I want them to know me right away.
Yeah.
And then I do all the vendor payments. I do help him quote when he gets really busy. I'll do the collections. But we all kind of do that. My installer tries to collect at the end when we're there. It's a good way to do it. But follow up. And then I do all the QuickBooks. I pay the bills. I work with the accountant to close the books. I
Hmm.
mean, probably 20 hours a week, you
Okay.
know. But there's also we have good marketing partners. We have a direct mail program we use for new homeowners, and we also have a digital marketing company that we work with. And so that's pretty much set. We've got and that's pretty much set, but we do some extra marketing here and there together. And then, you know, we are looking at different business opportunities and we're vetting all that together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And do you have just a single territory in Nashville?
I do, but I've added some zip codes.
Okay.
So it's like a one plus.
Hmm. Okay. Great. And it's a little more unconventional. You're uh, looking into a franchise and not really sure, is this something I want to do full time or semi absentee, knowing how to approach that. So when you were starting, still not sure, what exactly your role is going to be, bringing on a partner, how far into this journey do you remember feeling comfortable about the decision you made, like confident in that this is a business that's going to work and looking back, really happy with that decision? Kind of a point of,
I mean, I was happy with it from day one, honestly.
okay.
Like I did a lot of hard work to honestly, it's I had a big income to replace. And
Hmm.
not huge. I mean, relatively big for me. Big when you're starting at zero every month, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I um failure was not an option because I had to put food on the table. And
Yep.
at the time I had one in high school and one in middle school, and I'm the major breadwinner of the family. My
Hmm.
wife works, but we do count on my salary for the lion's share of the finances. So um, I did not consider failure an option, and I really worked the system, and I built up pretty quickly. Um, Perhaps the scariest time for me was actually pulling away, because I just wasn't sure. You can't control what you can't control anymore, right? And people do
Yeah.
things differently than I'm going to do it. But
Right.
what happened was I learned is when I stepped back and I put the right people in, right? And actually the sum is, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? And we actually complement each other really, really well. And
Hmm.
he brings a lot to the table. So we have grown. We
Yeah.
have, yeah.
Excellent. And what's your vision for the future with this business? Do you want to expand into multiple territories or just really hone
I
in
think
on?
we have a really good territory.
Mhm.
I think, you know, we have some things in the works um, to try and exponentially grow,
Mhm.
and there's, some opportunities that we might have to, you know, which may or may not come to fruition, but it would mean, pretty quick growth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just really trying to move into the high end of the market, where we do have a lot there, but to really grow that part of the brand
Hmm.
and get into some of these bigger home automation projects where the margins are a lot better um, than some of the other products that we offer, right? So I think it's just growing the right lines. There's still a lot of potential partners around here that we're not doing business with, designers, builders,
Hmm.
so commercial. But honestly, we need to grow sustainably, right? We can't bite
Yes.
off what we can't chew,
Right.
right? So there's risk involved in growth,
Hmm. Yeah,
so it's just
absolutely.
kind of weighing those pros and cons and deciding what's best for us. But that's the plan. We
Okay.
would like to grow. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So I warned you about this, but my last question, just as a fun exercise, if you put yourself in the shoes of that franchise consultant you worked with, a few years back, knowing
Yeah.
everything you know about Gotcha Covered, how would you present the brand to a candidate? What do you think are the, key highlights, can't miss selling points about the brand from your perspective as a franchisee?
Um, First of all, it's a fun business.
Hmm.
It's a lot of fun, but you need to be okay. You need to be okay. There's very few owners that I know of, if any, that don't start actually doing it by themselves. So you
Okay.
really need to be okay with working very hard.
Hmm.
I've seen people try not to follow the system and do their own thing, and they always fail.
Right.
Like, these systems are built for a reason.
Hmm.
So work hard, follow the system, and um, keep your chin up. And I hope you like people's kids and dogs, man, because you're going to see a lot of them out there, and there's going to be a lot of time on the road,
Yeah.
and there's going to be a lot of time where you put work into quotes and you're not going to get the job. So you have to have a long view, and you have to be steadfast, and you have to know that it's a foundational business. So every day you learn something new and then you grow on top of that. You're not going to know everything on day one. It's impossible. It's a very complex business, but it's a fun business, and the margins are good, and the startup costs are not exponential because you're
Right.
not buying a brick and mortar if you don't want to
Exactly. Yeah.
you know so you're investing in a franchise, in proprietary information. They give you all the technology, they give you all the sample books, they give you all the training, but they don't do it for you.
Hmm.
It's like giving you the bike, but you have to ride it,
Yeah. Yeah. The blueprint to
and
follow.
the bike will go as fast as you pedal it,
That's a
right?
great metaphor. Yeah.
And the truth is that what's cool about Gotcha Covered is, yeah, they want everybody to do well, and they want everybody out. They also don't pressure you to hit certain numbers. And I guess philosophically, that's just the way they are. It's not like, I mean, they do a top 10 every month. Well, actually, it's a top 15 because they have the top five home based, and then they have the top 10. And so it's cool to make those rankings.
Yeah.
But and then once a year they send out everybody's numbers. But they're not like sending out everybody's numbers all the time.
Hmm.
And um, I'm a competitive person, so I don't mind that, but I do think some franchises really do pressure you a lot,
Oh, yeah.
and also just remember, this is like, I don't know if it's a boutique franchise. I don't really know how that's categorized, but this is not like 1,000, 2,000 franchisees.
Right.
This is like a few hundred franchisees, a couple
Hmm.
hundred franchisees, maybe
Yeah.
between 2 and 300 right now. And I
Hmm.
know they want to grow more, and I'm sure they will, right? but it's it's got a good culture. The ownerships are good.
Hmm.
The people like each other. Um, we're a tight brand, and I think that that means something
That, yeah, that's attractive to a lot of different
for the
types of
right
people.
person. Yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, Dan, thanks so much for your time
Thank
today.
you.
This was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Great to hear your story. Definitely the
yeah,
most unique background I've heard, but very awesome to meet you and wishing you continued success in
yeah.
Nashville.
Well, franchisees come from all walks of life. That's what's so
You're
cool
the
about
case. Yeah, you're the proven case of
it.
that. Awesome. Thanks so much,
All
Dan.
right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Take care.
Bye.